Ladies and gentlemen, people of all gender expressions, thank you for checking out the North Bank Media Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Strevens. And joining me on the show this evening was Adam Nachbaur. Adam, along with his partner Bill, business partner Bill, co-founded and they continue to co-manage Snake Lake Brewing in Sylvan Lake, Alberta, where Adam also works as the sales manager, as well as I'm sure many other hats that he wears. There's a real vibrant culture of craft beer and breweries in central Alberta and Alberta generally, and Snake Lake is another one of those, founded in 2017. But they make award-winning beer. They've been recognized nationally for their product, and I was able to sample a few of them on the show, and I can attest to it personally. It's great beer. So definitely, if you're at the liquor store looking for a new beer, definitely give Snake Lake a try. I think this show is looking to do this more and more, where we sit down with entrepreneurs and we talk to them about why did they decide to go into a venture that they themselves are running. Why did they leave the 9-to-5 lifestyle behind to build something bigger? And Adam is a great candidate for that, and it was a joy to sit down and have him speak frankly about where his life was, with all the risk and reward of working in one vocation and now to where he runs his own business and can be more present as a father and a husband. So, we had some good times, we had some laughs, and we got down to a few real important truths, I suppose, about what it means to be an entrepreneur. A big thanks to Allie Stone, of course, my friend and Adam's friend, as well as a business partner in some sense, a business connection that Adam has, for making this connection between us. Of course, if you run a small business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a story you'd like to tell, please get in touch with us, and we can definitely make that happen through the North Bank Media Podcast. But in the meantime, pour yourself a frosty one, enjoy this one, a conversation with Adam Nachbaur. Alrighty. Yeah, Adam Nachbaur, thank you for making the time, and man, I love your beer. Good to see you in person or virtually.
Right on, man. I'm glad you like it. What are your favorites?
Well, I'll be honest, I just stopped off at Sherbrooke Liquor in Edmonton this evening, and I got the Sidewinder IPA, and I chugged 2 of those down with dinner, and those are nice. Those are nice. Those are what, 6.5% or what?
Yeah, they're in the short can for a reason.
Okay, yeah, no kidding. Right, yeah, third one I might be under the desk here,
yeah, we call it getting sidewindered.
Sidewinder. I could see that, but man, I found maybe it was just, I don't know, you tell me, but the carbonation, it seemed like it had a little extra, like it had a nice bite, like a real sharpness to it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's one of our flagship beers we've had from day one, but that's our best selling beer we make. It's got the biggest footprint across Alberta, and it's just it's such an easy IPA to have, where people that are getting into craft beer that want to drink IPAs but actually don't really like them, it's perfect for them. And it's, if you're a long time craft beer connoisseur and you want a New England style IPA, it checks all the boxes with that too. We got a gold medal for that beer out of Alberta, It's been well recognized.
Right on. Why the name? Was there something behind that? The Sidewinder?
Yeah. Well, Sylvan Lake. Okay, so Snake Lake Brewing Company. We named it that because Sylvan Lake was originally named Snake Lake.
Gotcha.
Way back, the name Kinnebik, on our Pilsners, the Cree name for Snake Lake, that was the actual name. And then Snake Lake was obviously the English name. So we named the brewery Snake Lake. A little bit of history there.
Nice.
And Sylvan. They changed the name to Sylvan Lake in 1903. There's 61 people in town. They threw a petition around to change it from Snake Lake because that's a horrible name for town. So anyways, but long story short is Sylvan Lake was known for the water slides for the longest time.
Right.
So the Wild Rapids water slides were a huge attraction. Sylvan brought people in all the time. They're gone now. I think they actually sold them on Kijiji, to be honest.
Really?
I think they had them on. But yeah, so they're no longer on the shore, but the Sidewinder water slide was one of the main attractions of that water slide park. So we named the beer after that just so it could kind of live on, and it's tied to so many memories with so many different people. And you meet people down in Calgary or up in Edmonton, and they're like, I remember that slide. I thought I was going to die on that. Yeah. And
that was not safe at all.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, we figured we'd carry on that legend with that beer, and that happened to be is our best selling beer. We've got several awards for it, and it's just something that you can sit down and have, and it's still got full blown New England IPA, but very balanced.
Absolutely. It's definitely got like that fruity, citrusy angle to it, but it doesn't come on too strong. Like it's not skunky. It's very easy. Anybody could enjoy that beer.
Yeah, we call ours, like, we have so many tourists that roll through town, like, we call our stuff lake beers. Like, they're pretty chill. Everything we do is late edition, boil hops, not overly bitter, lots of dry hopping, get lots of that flavor and aroma in there, but not blow your taste buds out of the back of your head.
Exactly. And I think it's cool that you guys went with Snake Lake, because I guess that would have been the indigenous name for the area before before colonization, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit of history. It's cool. Like, craft breweries are always, well, not always, but a lot of the time tied to the history of a region or an area, and you can always go into one of them and learn a little bit about something that you didn't know about before. So it's kind of cool. You walk into ours and all the beers have different ties to monuments and different portions of time throughout the lifespan of Sylvan Lake, and you can kind of pick up on a few key people that helped build the town to what it is today, and a few different things that like brought people in and why this town kind of grew.
Right
so
on.
I think it's cool beers associated with that, and it's kind of cool to carry that on. And I'm learning too. Like, we open the brewery, and I get to learn all this sweet history about our town and spend some time in the archive.
Cool. And yeah, I mean, there's a real culture developing around beer and craft beer these days. It seems like maybe in the last 10 years or so. Do you find that?
Oh man, that industry is so cool. So can I tell you like a little bit about my background?
Yeah, please.
So, like, I'm a heavy duty mechanic. I used to pull wrenches on natural gas engines and compressors.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for about 14 years in the oil field. And everything there is hush-hush, cutthroat. Everybody's after your job. You don't mess up. You work long hours at 2 a.m. out there minus 30 by yourself working away. Anyways, then we come along and decide to go after this. And how that like actually happened was Bill and I, my business partner, we were homebrewing at the time and decided that we should start a homebrew shop. Okay. And then we were on the homebrew equipment. And then just kind of fell in love with the industry. And one night when we were brewing at his place, had a couple too many maybe, and decided Sylvan Lake's a place for a brewery. We need to make that happen. So we completely bailed on the homebrew shop. And the next morning I called him. I was like, man, are you serious about that? Like, I was pretty serious. And he said, yep, let's do it. So we put together a business plan and kind of worked our way into this industry. We started with a professional brewer. We don't make our beers. I still homebrew probably like once, twice a month now, depending on if my Commodore supply is running out. But yeah, like, we have professional brewers that do our beers, and they've done a great job right from the start, like the award-winning stuff. So, but then to join this industry where everybody's so open, when we were building the brewery, like Blind Man Brewing, Troubled Monk, Siding 14, all those guys let us into their brewery, take pictures of steam lines, of electrical lines, of water, like all the stuff that they were doing and everything that they kind of like issues they had along the way. So it's cool to like be welcomed into this industry, and they want to see us succeed. And now to this day, like, we still have blind men. They'll call us and be like, hey, we need a 5 kilogram bag of hops. Can you set us up with that? And yes, of course. And same thing, like Charles Monks needed can lids before we've driven those out to them. And we've needed stuff too, like run on growler lids. Of course, someone's there to help you. But the industry is so cool, and that I think that's why it's growing. And like, you're getting this really inclusive industry based on a product that we're Canadians. We love beer. So to have locally sourced, like our grain, you're driving by fields of world-class grain that gets shipped all over the world, and it's in our backyard. We get to make beer out of this stuff on a daily basis. So it's really cool to see that industry grow and be with so many key components that are all inclusive and everybody's working together. And then to have the customer base the same too, like people are rolling in, they want to know about the beer. They're interested in how it's created. They're interested in the craft behind it. And it's not just smashing a 24 pack around a campfire, which I do love to do, but it's the industry, right? Like, it's fun. This is a piece of art. Like these beers, there's thought and love that goes into each pint. So it's cool to see what the brewers put together. And I think that's why that industry is growing, because it's not just crushing beers. Like, there's a lot to it, and a lot of love that goes into this stuff.
Absolutely. It's an art. Yeah. It's a labor of love. It's all that. Now, was there no brewery in Sylvan Lake before you guys founded Snake Lake?
No, we were the first.
Okay. And you were home brewing, like, as a hobby?
Yeah, like I say, I still do, but I had like all grain stuff, like mill my own grain, 5-gallon batches. Yeah, like actually making craft beer, but it's just your consistency is always a little off because you have a little less water, a little more water, or whatever. Like, It's not like I knew my skill set would not lend to me brewing on a commercial level, but I do know how to make beer.
So Yeah, you know how to make it, but maybe not in large quantities. Is that it's like a
I'm just smart enough not to mess with that much money at once.
fair enough. Right.
Professionals to do, but it's nice to know the process and be involved in it.
Well, that's very cool. So, what is your role then? Would you say with Snake Lake?
Well, I take care of all the outside sales. So anything you see, any liquor store, restaurant that you see our beer in, that's me and my team. I've got a sales team that I work with and distribution team. I've got stuff all over Alberta. We've got beer from Fort McMurray to Lethbridge, Banff, Jasper, Edmonton, Calgary, Prairie, anywhere, pretty much any city. There's you can probably find a Snake Lake product. We've got some pretty big partners in the industry that have helped us and supported us along the way, like Sobeys Liquor, Original Jones. Like we've got like Co-op Liquor, Alcana is a huge one too. Like we've got a lot of companies that have worked with us, and based on the quality of our product, obviously it's something that sells. But yeah, so I do the outside sales. My business partner Bill, he does all of our general managing of the brewery itself. So works with the brewers, the taproom staff, works with our ingredient ordering, all the shipping, receiving, that kind of stuff. We've got, I think, when we opened, we had 4 of us that were working at the brewery, and now we've got 21 people there.
Wow!
So it's expanded quite a bit, and it's just funny that gradually happens, right? Then the next thing you turn around, you're like, "Who are you? Like, do you work here?" Wow. And they tell me like, "Yeah, I've worked here for a couple of weeks." It's like, "Oh man, I don't get in here enough." Because I'm always on the road.
Oh right, sales, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like always out of town, but it's really cool, and the team we have is fantastic. Our brewing team is amazing. Our taproom team does a great job of like making everybody feel welcome, giving that experience for the guests or the customer coming in. Just so we want to like pass that on, right? Like you're coming out of your way to come to our taproom. We want to make sure it's something you remember in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way, yeah. And you do remember it. You don't overserve anybody.
No, and that's the thing. We shut down. Like, I mean, it's happened, not overserved, but I mean, people had one too many.
Wild, yeah.
But we have we shut down at like 8:00 most nights, 9:00 on like Friday. So we're not a late night place. We're not a place where people are sitting up till 2 a.m. killing beers. Like we kind of support all the restaurants in town. They have put us on tap, so we make sure we shut down early so that other people, like people go out and are there, right? Like we don't want to ever be considered competition with people pouring our beer. That's not what we want to do.
Neat. So what was kind of that milestone moment where you opened the facility, you started brewing, and then how did that work? Did you have people that were actively buying beer from you, or you had to pound the pavement and make some sales, or what?
It was just being out. I left, so I quit my job as a mechanic on December 6th of 2017.
Okay.
And from then till we opened on February 10th, every day I was out talking to every liquor store I drove by, every restaurant. I had no idea what the industry was like. Had no idea even how to get into a restaurant. Like, wow. I didn't know how draft worked. Like, it was a huge learning curve. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was good. So we just basically did that, pound of pavement, door to door, met up with some good contacts, right place, right time, nice. A lot of things, and worked out really good. And then our open, we had commitments from big companies like Central Alberta Co-op. They took a ton of our beer right away, stocked it on all the shelves, not even trying it. They just said, "Bring it to us, we'll stock it." And today it's still on their shelves.
I mean, so the product speaks for itself then, right? Like, it's good beer. People seem to want to keep buying it.
I like to think so. Yeah,
I'll attest to that. It's so far so good. I'm just curious about I talked to a lot of people on the show who it's a similar path. It's like you're a heavy duty mechanic, but was there a dream in your life to do more, to do something more creative, more artistic, to get out of that lifestyle, and beer was it, or did it, or what's that like?
Well, to be honest, I kind of missed a step there in the middle. I was trying to get to the field anyways, and I wanted to be a commercial pilot, and I did that. I got my commercial license.
Nice.
I did flights out of Red Deer to charter stuff out of Red Deer to Fort McMurray, Fort Nelson, Grand Prairie, stuff like that, which was freaking awesome, man. I love flying.
Cool.
It was a blast. And but I've got 2 kids. I got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, and to be home more and to be around and doing that dad thing in the morning. Like right now, when we built the brewery, I sold both my airplanes, sold my service truck, my motorcycle, my halftime. Ended up selling my acreage, a shop I had in Sylvan. Sold everything. I'm still married. My wife's still with me.
You went
So,
all in.
Yeah, all in, man.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was like a big life change. But yeah, I did have aspirations of sitting in a cockpit for a career, right? Like that's what I was doing. And I still have my license. I can still go fly.
Right.
I just, that was the route. I just needed something different. I was like making good money. I had my own business, like as a mechanic. I was happy. Like I had a good job. It's just like by the end of it, well, I guess I shouldn't say I was happy. I was starting to get more and more unhappy. But it was like by the end of it, I'm like, I would go to work, and it would end up being like I would go to work for like 16 to 18 hours, which I don't even know if is legal, but I mean, it happened. And the only person I'd see all day some days is the gas station guy on my way to or from work. If I stopped and had to get gas, and then I have to talk this guy's ear off because I haven't seen a human being in almost a full day.
Sure.
So, I mean, it got to the point where I'm like a fairly social person. I like to be out. I like to talk to people and do that. So started trying to find a way out and trying to find something different, and it went into aviation, and then automatically that dropped for beautiful golden brew.
Interesting. Why? That's very cool. So is it? Or do you still do work as a mechanic, or that's completely over with?
No, I don't. I work on my own stuff. Like I'm done with. I did it, like I say, for 14 years. It doesn't. I don't miss it at all. Like I've got all my tools at home. So like I build motorbikes in my garage. Like I've got a hardtail I'm in the middle of building right now, and I've got a couple other like slowly starting to get the odd minor toy back. But yeah, it's been I don't think I'll ever. Well, I should never say never, but I don't see it ever falling back into that. There's other things that have my attention now and my interest, and I mean it's something like I have the skill. I did it for that long. I can fix stuff, but I just don't tell too many people because I don't want to start working on a bunch of other people's.
Right. That's like you're the guy with the pickup truck and you're moving everybody. You know, it's like, hands off.
Yeah.
I'm curious about because you could have just stayed as a mechanic and raised the family and done all that stuff and made a living, but what inside of you said, I have to at least try this creative pursuit, this business, this risk. You know why? Because a lot of guys wouldn't, right?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is maybe I don't think far enough ahead, or I don't have that like risk meter that everybody has. I kind of live day to day, but yeah, it's like I want that home life. My kids are getting older. I would go to work, like I say, early, be gone at 6, get back at 9, 10, 11 at night. Sometimes I'm living in the same house and never seeing them.
Wow.
And I'm started to think like there's got to be something else. So I started looking at real jobs,
right?
And I figured I've been like an entrepreneur for sure 10 years because after I finished my apprenticeship, I started my business.
Okay.
And I didn't want to work for somebody. I'm not. Maybe I'm not that good at following directions, right. But anyway, so like I wanted that morning, and now like I've got this wicked routine. I get up in the morning, take my dog for like 4K walk, come back, wake my kids up, make them breakfast, I make them lunches, I take them to school, and then I start my day. And so I get that every single day. I get this like real sense of home. I'm current with what my kids are doing, what they're feeling, how things are going at school. Like it's so cool to be involved and be that dad, and still get to do something that I love and passionate about. It's a great, cool career. It's still broke, nothing like the Oilfield, sure. But it's good, and I like it. A big part of why the transition was family. Like I just wanted to be. I wanted to be dad, and I was missing out on that, and it was frustrating me. I think more than I actually acknowledged at the time.
Well, that's beautiful. And you say you're broke, but you probably don't feel broke, right? You don't feel like you're lacking.
No, man. It's like it's so fulfilling. I love what I'm doing. Well, I mean, there's a fair abundance of beer, which is nice, but
everything feels good.
It's almost like you don't need that. That huge thrill on your days off. Like you don't need the high powered quads or the RV or anything because what I'm doing every day makes me pretty damn happy. And then I come home and get to have this like fun family. We've got a great little house here in Sylvan. We're close to the water. We do a lot of paddleboarding. We do a lot of swimming, like stuff like that, and we go ice skating all winter. So we've got lots of activities, but it's just like I scaled down the I don't know what you'd call it, how grand your extracurricular activities are. You don't get it because I'm I'm not like, there's no void. I'm happy getting up, going to work, and I'm watching a company in a building that I built grow every day. And that's, it's pretty damn cool. I'm very proud of what we did. And I'm so stoked on our guys and how they treat it like I do. And it's awesome, man.
That's incredible, man. I think those are the sorts of people that I've tried to target for this show, is people who took the risk, who are building. I mean, the business is one thing, but your life and your business and your lifestyle, it's all one. And you're becoming closer to being who you are, it sounds like, or who you could be.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're not having too many sideliners.
That's right. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. I'm going to have one more before this podcast is over, but then it's nighty-night, I think. I wanted to ask you something, and now I've kind of lost it. Yeah, you were mentioning in the oil field, there's kind of this work hard, play hard mentality. Is that how you see it? Like, it's just such grueling, brutal work that to relax, you have to, go to the max and snort coke and wheelie your quad around town?
I'm not saying that's like that's everybody, sure. But there was, and definitely I did not snort any coke. But
I wasn't putting that on you. I wasn't putting.
But there was a lot of like, you made the money, right? So you feel like, I know I had quads, I had dirt bikes, I had all sorts of, like, we had 2 airplanes at one point there, like, and one of them was just a bush recreational plane.
Cool.
And like our acreage and stuff, like we lived a really good life, which I love. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I don't find it's not like I need to remove myself like from that. And a lot of my friends now too are in the same industry, and they're not doing that stuff. So like, you take yourself out of that. I still have quite a few friends from back when I was a mechanic, but it's just, I almost think like, it's like you're out there making this money, working your butt off. Mm-hmm. And then you like want to reward yourself. So you're like, I'm going to buy this 800 fuel injected quad, and I'm going to go rip up a mountain. Like, and that feels really good, but it's just not, it's kind of past for me now. And I don't miss that stuff. I mean, I love quads. I spent many trips down to the sand dunes in Idaho, and like we did lots of fun stuff on them, but yeah, like when we were flying, man, I had a twin engine Baron, like really wicked little charter plane, and it would do like 400 kilometers an hour, all leather interior. Nice. It was de-ice. I had autopilot on it. But I'd call Aaron on my way home from work on Fridays and be like, hey, you want to go to Kelowna for dinner? And we would hop in this plane and with our kids and fly to Kelowna, barbecue with some friends. It took like an hour and 11 minutes to get there, and have a barbecue, and then come back the next day, like. And that was normal. And I look at it now, I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why did you spend all that money on something like that? Like, that's, because right now it seems so wasteful, but it was a great memory, like doing stuff like that.
Yeah, so, well, the experience and kind of the pride of being able to provide such an experience to your family. It's like, I could see the attraction to that.
Yeah, that's like, the memories are amazing. We had a great time. But just financially, I think about it now. I'm like, what were you doing?
Yeah, what would an hour of fuel in that plane cost you? Was that the big expense?
Yeah, well, everything with that thing was an expense. I never recommend buying a twin engine plane to anyone who is going to buy one. Okay. Just find a fast single. But yeah, it was $1,000 to fill the tanks, and you'd get maybe 4 hours out of that, so you could go to Kelowna and back twice.
Okay.
So it's not terrible, but you're inspecting and all the other stuff, and you're just, I don't know. Yeah,
I hear you. But
it's funny. I talk about it now, and it sounds like somebody else's life. Like, it's like, that's right? Not me. I didn't do that.
But yeah, that's wild, man. I mean, you're the first guy I've ever talked to that owned a plane and was flying it around at will. So is that common? That can't be.
I don't think it's common.
Okay. So was there a moment where you were alone, or was there a moment where you realized it was like you had to make this transition into what you're doing now, or was it just a gradual shift of like, I think I'm growing out of this, I think I can do better?
It was a while of trying to find something different. We actually Bill and I, Bill's a good friend of mine that I met in the oil field, so he's an instrumentation tech. Okay. And I actually met him. Here's a little side note. I met him, it was like 2 in the morning. I was on a site called 6 of 22, 41 of 5, I think it was. And I got called out to this engine. It was broken, not running, and it was one of their high producer like compressors. So these engines compress natural gas to push into the Trans-Canada pipeline.
Okay.
So anyways, I'm working on this engine, and this instrumentation tech shows up. Some guy I've never met before in my life. And I just found out like the day before that we were having a baby, like our first baby. And we weren't telling anyone, weren't telling my parents, weren't telling my sister, like nobody. Mm-hmm. So this is killing me. Now it's 2 a.m. I'm working on this engine. This random stranger shows up and starts working there beside me. And I'm like, hey man, I got to tell you something. And he's like, what? I'm like, we're having a baby. We're not telling anybody. So I just had to tell somebody. I was like, I just need to tell you. And he looks at me. He's like, you know what? We just found out 2 days ago we're having a baby and we're not telling anyone. It's like, oh, cool. That's awesome. So like we fixed the engine, went on our separate ways. It's like, I'll never see that guy again. And sure as shit, the next site I go to, there's Bill. And then after that, I ended up going to his house for a beer. And then next thing you know, we're hunting together. And then we're starting to like try to find a way out of the oil field. So we're trying to find different things. We actually looked at a company in Campbell River that produces like a plastic company. They made docks and stuff like that. Yeah. So like we had looked at like this company that produces these docks, and like maybe we should buy this company. Got the financials to an accountant. They said, "Do not buy that company," and went through a couple other ones. But that's weird. Like we're on a path to get out of the oil field and just like break away from that drive for the money, basically, I guess. And it's not like you're not addicted to it. It's not like, but it makes it really easy to go do a shitty job every day when you're getting compensated for it, right? Like you don't even think about it. You're like, oh, I'm getting paid well to do this. Why wouldn't I? So, but yeah, it was like a trend. We slowly figured it out, and then we ended up approaching the Napa Auto Parts in Sylvan. They had this 5,600 square foot building, and it wasn't actually for sale at the time either, but it was the only building in town that could house what we wanted to build.
Right.
And yeah, so then ended up buying this building, and we've got all our tanks in, and next thing you know, we're making craft beer, and it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Is that your slogan? What is is there a slogan or like a one-liner for Snake Lake Brewing? Do you have like a tagline?
Yeah. So I'll tell you both, because right off the bat, we had it hardworking, easy drinking, and
That's good.
which is great. Except a buddy of mine sends me a picture like 3 months after we opened of the top of a full throttle energy drink can, and it said hardworking, easy drinking. We're like,
full throttle energy.
So
that's garbage.
Yeah, so we scrapped that. They got way better lawyers than us.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So we changed it to work hard, drink easy. So that's our like Central Alberta, kind of speaks to everybody, and I don't know. It works. It's been since day one.
Yeah, that works. Well,
I guess 3 months in. Day one after 3 months.
Right. Oh, we'll forget the 3 months. It's fine. So talk to me about Bill then. Personality-wise, are you guys similar, or you guys are kind of left brain, right brain, or what's your relationship like with Bill?
We got a great relationship. We're good buddies. He's completely the opposite of me. Okay. Yeah, he's our number guy. He will sit there. If we're going to buy a van, he'll sit there and compare 12 vans for 4 days so he finds out exactly which one's going to be the best financial decision versus fuel mileage versus weight it can haul. He's our guy. If we this company would not exist without Bill. It's like insane. I cannot tell you how important that guy is to what we're doing and what he does, how much money that saves us, and like just his business adaptability, I guess, for different situations it's amazing. He's a legend. Yeah.
Shout out to Bill, man. He's a legend.
Yeah.
Well, a few years ago, I kind of started doing some freelance work for a startup company, and I saw firsthand just how difficult it is to get a business up off the ground. Were there moments for you where it was like, fuck this, I'm going back to the oil field, I'm going back to the quads, I'm going back to that life? Did you want to quit ever?
Yeah, there was. There was one time when I was like pretty damn close. It just like going into a new industry with a new business was so much like we all dumped in equal shares of cash into this company, like our life savings. And that in that first year, it was pretty stressful because we're a big brewery, and to make those like the overhead margins and make your profit work and like actually get a running business, that's like, it takes a while to streamline everything, especially with zero background. So after that first year, it was like, there's some pretty dreary days when it's like, I don't know what I did here. Like I'm stressed out, but But we powered through all that, and man, haven't looked back since. It's been great since once everything started kind of rolling. We had some systems in place, some procedures, and actually got like more of a real. I think we didn't realize like how big or like what it was a real company we were running,
right?
And now that's kind of sunk in, and now we've got like I say, like over 20 people working there.
Right.
So we have to have our heads on right. It's not just like willy-nilly grab a beer at 9 a.m. Let's see how the numbers look, right?
Sure.
Like we have grown in this process.
Interesting. Willy-nilly grab a beer at 9 a.m. I'm sure there were a few days like that, maybe early.
Well, it's so fun, right? You're like, oh, we work in a beer factory. Sweet. Oh, we should try this new seasonal.
That's totally, okay. A beer factory. That's literally it. Yeah. I mean, you got to sample the product. And I suppose when you hire that first employee, that must be a moment, hey, where it's like, now we're actually providing a livelihood for this guy or girl.
Yeah, and that's like what was so hard with COVID too, like when that hit, because we had such a good staff, like group, and to like when the first wave hit that first March, we laid everybody off. Like we had 60,000 liters of beer we were sitting on, and we're like, if we never sell a drop of beer again, like how much money do we have to run? Like how many months can we make this?
Right.
And we had like 3-month window, so we had some time to figure out what we were going to do. But retail, like liquor stores, picked up,
right,
and so immediately started hiring everybody back. And then as the 3rd and 4th and 15th, whatever wave we're on now, kept coming, we just stopped like laying people off. We just found stuff for them to do. The only time we ever had any like job cuts was that first wave because everybody panicked, and then we brought everybody back. And to this day, like even if there's like the restaurants shut down, right? That's like 50% of our wholesale goes out to on-premise locations. So when that happens, like there's a huge drop for us. But now we've got it where we just keep everybody, we find stuff for them to do. Bill and I take a little bit of a cut, and our other 2 partners obviously too. But it's more important for us to keep those people working. Like these people are they're working for us, doing us obviously we're paying them, but they're doing us a favor or a service, right? Like they're making our business better day to day. So to return that favor, and even if it costs us a little bit to be able to keep them employed, like that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So what was that? What was the what was kind of the up and down of COVID like for you? Like initially it fucked you, and then you kind of, I mean, liquor sales probably never really dropped off too bad, did they?
Yeah, well, for us they did. Like I say, we're like 50-50 split between liquor stores and on-premise locations. So like with the retail, like liquor stores went up like 20%,
right?
But that didn't make up for the 50% we lost in restaurants.
Right.
So like we dropped off. There's other breweries I know, like I've got good friends that own other breweries that did very well because they were retail focused. So it's like, it just kind of depends where you were at the time, and we're still so new to the industry. We've got such a push on restaurants and pubs to get that recognition, to get people at restaurants to be like, hey, like Snake Lake, it's good enough to be on tap at OJ's. Like, I'll go buy this from a liquor store. So that it's touch more extra marketing. There's a little less selection when there's only 12 taps instead of like 100 beers on the shelf kind of thing. But yeah, that was a fault. If you're going to go into a pandemic, I recommend going retail.
You heard it here, folks. And there'll be more pandemics, Adam. Don't you worry. We'll get screwed again and again. So that's interesting. Was that obviously a decision by you as the sales kind of executive, that a 50-50 split between retail and restaurants?
Honestly, it just kind of happened. It wasn't there was no forethought on that. We just kind of pushed liquor stores, pushed restaurants, and we had a lot more traction with restaurants and made some really good connections, good relationships, and we've just continued to grow with them. Honestly, like if you're going to be out in the sales world too, restaurants are way more fun. There's a way better connection, like with a lot, because you got that time to sit at the bar, right, and have a beer and hang out and visit with whoever and figure out what they need and what they like and how their customer base is. But in a liquor store, sometimes it's pretty black and white. Like you go in and this is the products we have, and they'll either say, yeah, we have room, or they don't. And it's so there's 2 different games. I really like retail because of the volume that can be attached to it. Like Sobeys and Co-op and Alcana and those guys, they have like flyers that go out And like Sobeys will buy like 300 flats in one purchase, which is pretty amazing. So there's lots of stuff that goes along with that too. Like there's no right or wrong way to do it. And I don't know. I've talked to guys that are retail focused. I know us, we're like on premise and retail 50-50. And then you talk to guys that are solely their own tap room. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there is a right or wrong way, but yeah, that old shutting down restaurants changes a few things.
No doubt. Well, that's really interesting, actually. A big company like Sobeys or Safeway taking you guys on, that must have been a pretty big moment, hey?
Yeah, and they're all fantastic partners. Like Alcana has done multiple flyers with us. Sobeys, like Andrew at Sobeys is unreal. Like the guy is throwing us so many cool opportunities, and as well as co-op, like Central Alberta Co-op, Calgary Co-op, all of them. Like these companies are really good to work with, and they know what they're doing. So it's like, put the paperwork in, you get it going, your beer's out, and it's on shelves everywhere. Like if Sobeys has a flyer, that flyer is out of like 90 liquor stores. So our beer ends up on the shelf of like 90 liquor stores in Alberta, right? So you can now grab a 6-pack of the IPA at the Safeway or Sobeys in Fort McMurray.
That's awesome.
So it's like the marketing reach you get out of those retail partners it's unbelievable, and you can't match it. So like they have some pretty dang good buying power.
No doubt. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, for a small business owner, if you can partner with a huge corporation like that, it's like they're not evil. they're getting you paid.
No, that's the thing. Like the boutique craft stores that we do have a lot of our products in are fantastic. Mm-hmm. But craft beer drinkers shop in the big stores as well, right? Like it's not just, you're not just in the boutique store. So to have that presence in those bigger stores it's huge for us too.
No doubt. And I'm thinking too, like you're like Sylvan Lake, is that central Alberta, I guess, right? Yeah. Like there's a few pretty big name breweries in that region, right? I'm thinking.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking Blind Man. There's one in Red Deer that I went to. What's it called?
Troubled Monk. Yeah. Yeah, and there's like Soft Brewing, Red Heart, Siding 14s around here, Hawktails up in Rimbey. Rival Trade just opened in Rocky.
And then Edmonton now is like, there's Sea Change, there's Situation, Campio. It's like, what I'm thinking is like, isn't the market saturated, or we're just a bunch of alcoholics? Like, what's like?
we're Canadians, man. We're Canadians.
I like it.
Let's drink a lot of beer. No, it's not such like, because the way that works is like, 80, like the world is evolving, or the industry is evolving. Let's say, where the people that are used to drinking, like smashing the big name beers, the macro beers, are learning about these new flavors and learning about beers, and they're slowly coming over to the other side. But a lot of these breweries too are very small in the sense that they brew for their tap room. So the volume we put out, like we're a 35 hect brew house, so we brew 3,500 liters at a time. Okay. And that gives us the ability to fly our beer with all of Sobeys, and like we have volume to back that up. We can do big, but a lot of these breweries that are opening up are very small. They're taproom focused. They have a restaurant attached or something like that, brew pub. Yeah. And so it's not competitive in that sense. We're not losing shelf space because of all these breweries. And a lot of them actually, it goes the other way. We work together in the sense that if I've got contacts in a certain place, I'll share them with breweries that are going out there to try to work and get their beer into that restaurant or onto those shelves. And it's growing, like the amount of breweries are growing. So it touches on competitive, I guess, for certain shelf space at the smaller boutique places where there is limits on how many like SKUs they can carry. But it's not, the industry is not like cutthroat at all. Like it's not like we're running out of room, and there's always a new person that's dropping off of that like green and red can with the bunny on it and trying something new. Right. So yeah.
What's your perspective on I've been drinking for, I don't know, since 2007 or so, and it seems to me in that time that this craft beer sort of explosion, when I started drinking, there wasn't this, right? Like this is a fairly new phenomenon, and obviously you're riding that wave. Like, do you have a sense of why that started?
I think it's just like a different product, a better product. There's a lot that goes with it. And it's a trend that started in the States, right? Like all the craft beers, even the styles, a lot of them originate in the States, work their way back up. through BC or Ontario, and then we're kind of the last to pick up on it till like a couple years now. Like Alberta's got a great craft beer scene, and we should, because we've got all the bloody grain. But Saskatchewan too. But like it all kind of originates and comes up that path, and then on our coasts, and then it ends up at us now. But now we've got like our brewers monitor what's going on in the States, trying to figure out where those beer styles are coming from. But the variety, man, like the variety of beer that you can get are unbelievable, and I think that is what's actually bringing those macro beer drinkers, the crushing the waters, I call them, and into something new, into something different that's like got flavor. And why does this stout taste like coffee, and why does this IPA taste like citrus, and what is a saison? Like there's like endless amounts, and everybody's making these beers, and they're all different. Right. So like you've got like, if we make 12 beers and then you go to Blind Man and they have the same 12 styles, they're all still going to taste completely different than ours because there's so much variety, right? Like there's endless. So I think that has a lot to do with it. It's always something new, something cool. Like craft beer drinkers, myself included, are like the least loyal people ever, right? You always want to try what's new. You want to try something different.
Absolutely.
And if I see something on a shelf I've never had before, of course I'm buying it. So there's always like that growth that way too, of just something new and cool.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. It kind of reminds me of wine. Like wine was always like that, right? There was so much variety within the region and the different grapes and all this. But I guess with beer, beer was always kind of gross up to a certain point. Like it just did the job. But now it's something you can really enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally coming around that way, and I love it. I love seeing what other guys are doing, and like it's cool because everyone puts that same effort in. And you end up with these products that are just fantastic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Like truly it is. I was just in Sherbrooke Liquor here in kind of north central Edmonton, and I was like, I have an hour to get in there, find this beer, get home, eat, and get on this podcast. And I get in that beer cooler, I'm like, oh shit, I'm never gonna find it. And I didn't find it until someone came and helped me.
They're so awesome. Sherbrooke has had like every one of our beers we've ever made on their shelves.
Wow.
They're fantastic. And they've got a store in the east now too, so there's 2 locations.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Sherbrooke is an unreal, like the selection there. I get lost too. Like I go in there and I'm like, I'm gonna need an hour and a half. It's like going to a library.
It is.
Yeah.
It is like going to a library or like a museum or something. I don't know, or a record store maybe. So they had they had the Pilsner, they had the Sidewinder, and they had 2. I don't usually go for the porters and the stouts, but they had like your vanilla, was it the coffee vanilla stout? Yeah,
that's the ice cutter vanilla latte stout.
And then a porter, is it in like a darker can? They had
the green one.
Yeah,
that's brand new this week. Actually, that just came out. We brewed that in February originally.
Wow!
And we won a silver medal out of all of Canada for that beer. And then we just rebrewed it for Christmas here. So yeah, it's back out.
Right on. Yeah, a very Christmassy kind of snowy night, late night beer, hey? Like those porters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they had one other one. I almost bought this one, the Blackberry Lager or something like
Blackberry
that.
Hellas, yeah.
Yes.
And that beer we did in a collaboration with a company here in town called Hawkeye Lime Locating. And proceeds from that, every can goes to the Christmas Bureau. So we do a Christmas Bureau beer every year. Nice. And so a bunch of proceeds from that go to the charity, and it's just kind of something we do every Christmas to help out.
That's awesome, man.
And it's a Blackberry Hellas. Like it's a blackberry lager. It's delicious.
I kind of feel like I screwed up and should have bought that one, but whatever. I'll get back.
Yeah, if you go back, try it because it's super subtle. It tastes like a nice lager. It just has a purple hue to it when you pour it, but the blackberry flavor doesn't like carry through super strong. It's just very, very subtle.
Oh, interesting. I mean, God, I love beer. That's the thing. I love beer too much. Like I have to limit myself, you know. I really do love it. It's just there's something. I don't know. There's because there's choices, right? Wine, liquor, whatever you want, cider, but beer, I guess. Well, how do you feel about it? Beer it does something nice.
Oh man, yeah, it's like when you like I like to have something to drink. Obviously, Aaron and I do happy hour down at the beach and stuff, but it's like it's not sweet. You're not getting that overrun with sugar. You don't have to mix it. It's just and the options now, the variety, like we were talking about, it makes it really hard to grab anything else because it's so convenient to drink that and have a different flavor if you want it. But beer's always been my go-to. Here, fun fact, I actually didn't drink ever in high school. I was like 18 before I had my first drink. I always drove everywhere. Like I had a 89 Chevy that I drove everybody around, nice. So I never drank. But I ended up moving to Alberta, and then I was 18 here and could go buy beer or whatever I wanted, and I didn't even know. So I remember the first time I got drunk, I had bought a 6-pack of Corona and a bottle of Captain Morgan spiced rum, and I drank those 6 Corona, and I was like, oh man, I am the best. Like I just drank 6 beers, and 18, right? And holy man, I think I was in bed at like 9:30 that night, just KO'd. Yeah. So that was my introduction to like Alberta, and I went from never having a beer to now I have a brewery. Like it did a full 180. But yeah.
Is there a sort of, do you have to pace yourself or limit yourself? Like I can't drink every night, I can't drink too much, or is it you're where are you at with that?
Oh, that's actually a great question because a lot of people have asked me that. It's not, man. Like you're around it so much that it just becomes like it's just there. Like a lot of times, even if I go out, like there's lots of times I'll come home and like Aaron and I we don't have a drink. Like it's not something that's like I'm not drinking every day. But you're just around it so much that it loses its novelty. Where you're like, oh, we should grab a beer. It's just like I want a Moro. Like I don't know. It gets to that point. I mean, I still like to have them on the weekends and stuff, and happy hour and some sunshine obviously makes the guy want to drink a bit more. But it's not like at the start maybe we drank a bit more than we should have, just because it was fun and new and exciting.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. It's funny how when you're around it all the time, you kind of just like, whatever. Like, I'll have one tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's good to know. I mean, you know what? Let me just take 30 seconds. I'm going to go grab one more beer, and we'll pick it up in 30 seconds. Is that cool?
I'll do the exact same thing.
Alrighty, see you back here. What have you got?
I changed it up. Just like I was saying about being like the least loyal beer drinker. This is Outbound Lager from Folding Mountain.
Okay.
So these guys, when we opened, or before we opened, Folding Mountain's like really tight to me because I called them. I called Eric from Folding Mountain out of nowhere. I was a nobody, not part of the industry, and I called this guy. And because we were trying to learn about water profiles, and I was like, hey, can you tell me anything about water? Like, we're building a brewery. And Eric sat on the phone for 45 minutes with me and told me all about what they were doing, how they got their system set up, and where it came from. And this is like a total stranger. It took 45 minutes out of his day. And so anyways, we opened, and immediately I was in contact with these guys, went up, talked to them. And to this day, Eric and I are still buds. Like, we've done a collaboration here together. And but yeah, this is Outbound Lager. I think it's new this year. Actually, I was just up there for my birthday on November 14th, and they had that out, so I grabbed some.
Beautiful. Well, happy belated birthday.
Thanks, man.
And shout out to Folding. Where are they at? Because I saw Folding Mountain. I saw them in the store too on my search.
Yeah, they're up in Hinton, or just west of Hinton. Man, if you ever get a chance to go out there, the brewery is unbelievable. It's beautiful.
Cool.
Tucked in the mountains. They got cabins all around it. So there's like, you can rent these cabins and stuff, and it's hiking trails, man. It's so sweet out there.
Very interesting. Hinton, is that past Edson, or it's on the way to Edson from Edmonton? Do you know?
If you're heading from Edmonton, it's past Edson. You hit Edson, and then after that, you'll hit Folding Mountain.
Right. Okay. Oh,
But yeah, I had a couple foggy nights out there.
No
it's
kidding.
Pretty all right.
Stumbling out to the back out to the cabin or whatever.
To the cabin. Yeah.
But what does that tell you though about some of the guys in the industry where he'll talk to a competitor essentially for 45 minutes about some fundamental thing, you know? He helped you, really.
Oh yeah. And since then, like, we've gotten the opportunity to return that. Like, Rival Trade just opened in Rocky Mountain House, and those guys have been in, walked through our brewery. We've showed them everything, helped them with like some business numbers and how like wholesale, retail pricing, that kind of thing works. And it's like we pass that along. I've actually passed along contacts to them for like the purchaser for Central Alberta Co-op for stuff like that, like introductory emails and stuff to help these guys get their beer out on the shelves. And it's not something like I'm not worried about it being a competitor, right? Like that's not what it is. It's really cool what they're doing. They're going down the same path we just did. So I want to see them succeed too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's not a cutthroat market, is it? It's like a market where almost, I mean, I'm not going to say anybody, but there's room for a lot of different approaches.
That is so true. And if you go to like a bunch of different craft breweries, you will see from one style to the other, man. There's like total class built, everything's so like precise. And then you see other ones that are just like, so like if you ever go down to Calgary, Cold Garden, man, that place is a party all the time. It's unreal. They got couches and they let dogs in there. And like, it is so much fun. You go in the vibe in there. And then you've got like a place like ours, which is kind of geared towards like tourists and families and stuff going through. And then you've got like, it's just the variety of everything. Like people can express however they feel like craft beer should be with their business. And it's so, and that's like labels too. Like you look at the labels on different cans and the personalities that come out of these breweries are pretty cool.
It's true. It is art. You know, in a certain, like it's a consumable good, whatever you want to say, but it is art. I think it's people expressing their feelings, their values, the way they think the world should be comes out in their beer.
Yeah, totally.
Did you guys sit down and have like a vision or like a mission statement or a set of values that sort of helped you get Snake Lake off the ground? Like what was kind of your aim? Like what did you want to do ultimately?
Ah, man, like I say, rounded out that business plan, and then just basically did what we do in our old jobs, right? We just head down, ass up, built this place, and never looked back. It just kind of, we've been pushing since day one to make sure everything we do, every move we make, is got a reason for it, or there's no like, it's always fairly in tune with what's happening in the market. But no, we don't have like a vision statement, I guess. Don't be a dumbass might be a good one.
That's a good one. I think more people should have that one.
but I think that's like that it's pretty casual. Like it's beer. Like everybody's doing their best. Nobody's not pulling their weight. We're a pretty good family we got going on with the brewery team.
Nice. So there's you and there's Bill. Like, is there some kind of mad scientist, genius, brewmaster behind the scenes, or how does the deep science and the actual beer get made? Who's running that show?
Oh man, we just get all our recipes off the internet.
Okay. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
No, we got when we opened originally, we had one of the greatest brewmasters I've met in my time in this industry. Octavio Pauly came to work with us. So we hired him from R&B Brewing out in Vancouver, and he moved out here and started up the brewery with us, actually helped us build a lot of the brewery with just as like extra hands on deck, and came up with all our beer styles.
Cool.
A lot of our recipes we still produce today are his recipes. And he did an amazing job. Our Pilsners won 2 gold medals out of Canada back to back. Like for the last 2 years, it's the best Pilsner in Canada.
Damn.
And that's small town Sylvan Lake. Like we're making it here. And it's really cool to see what these guys do and the time and effort they put into each beer style and following trends in the States to know what's coming or trying to build onto a style that they're interested in or something that's gone extinct for a while, or like these guys are so good at what they do it just blows my mind. And we have brewed so I think we've brewed 390 batches of beer at 3,500 hex a batch.
Okay.
And we have never dumped a batch of beer. Like, there's never been a batch that's gone bad. Whoa. So and I'm pretty proud of that. Like, those guys, I know that even though they're hard to deal with sometimes, they're doing the absolute best work they can, and it shows in the product. But since then, Octavio has left us. He's gone back to Vancouver to actually open his own brewery, which I cannot wait to have a pint in one day.
Oh, yes.
And now we have Jesse Thompson as our head brewer. And yeah, the guy's killing it. Same thing. This year we won gold out of Canada again. And so obviously his brew style is showing through. And beautiful. We've given them a very good facility, I think, to be artistic and to try new things. And we don't put a cap on what they can and can't do. We kind of let them have free reign. We do brew like proposals for costing because fruit's expensive. Yeah. So you just a bunch of fruit and beer, all of a sudden you got to charge twice as much for it. But we kind of let them be like, hey, like, what styles do you want? And they'll bring it up and make it. Like, it's not like I don't go downstairs every Monday morning and be like, Jesse, you're making a pear saison today. Right. Like, I never do that. If there's a restaurant deal or a liquor store flyer or something where they want something specific, we'll work with them on that. But it's not like all of our seasonals that come out, they've got full control over them, and we just make it happen for them.
That's awesome. That's what you have to do with those guys, right? Is just give them the room to work and trust that they're going to deliver.
Yeah, and none of them have let us down. Like the beers they've kicked out are exceptional, and I get very spoiled with the quality of product that comes out of our brew house.
Well, that's awesome. So what? How many different beers can you have going at once in the brewery?
We've got 13 tanks. 3 of them are bright tanks, so we can essentially have 10 different beers going at one time. Wow. But that's not the way it works because of volume. Sure. Like our core beers, the Sidewinder, IPA, Kennebec Pilsner, Vanilla Latte Stout, the Ice Cutter, and Drink Easy, the Low-Cal. Those are our 4 main cores. Okay. So they'll always be like in the brewery. There'll always be like 3 to 5 tanks just for IPA because we move so much of it that we always have an abundance of that. And then there'll probably be like 3 tanks of Pilsner because that's the next. And then the other ones we'll play with. So there'll always be like 1 or potentially 2 seasonals in the tanks at a time, but the rest they're just the cores, just because we need to keep up. I've made a commitment pretty much to anybody that put us on a shelf or on a draft handle that we will not run out of that beer. Like, if you put us on with the IPA, I promise you'll never go to buy one and it'll be out. Like, that's the commitment I made to people, because that's a really craft beer thing, right? Like, a lot of customers I've had have asked, being like, well, I don't want to deal with craft beer because I make room, put these guys on, and then they don't have product.
Interesting.
And I was like, not something we're going to do. Like, our volumes were built to make volume. That's what we do. And I've to this day been able to hold up that promise. So I'm knock on wood, don't mess that up.
Hey, so far so good. I mean, you're right. Then you are a hardworking brand. Like you guys, that's what you stand for. Is like, you get us in, we're gonna keep delivering the good stuff forever, or as long as possible.
Yeah, one, it is so cool to like go up, almost surreal to go like sit at a restaurant up in a city and your beer's on tap, right? Like, I go to a place that I went to in trade school, Toad and Turtle in Red Deer is a good one. I used to go there every day for lunch, and now I can go sit in there and kill a pint of my Pilsner, and it's like, wow, like, this is a completely different spot in my life, but here I am in the same 4 walls. Wow. It's pretty cool, yeah.
It's like seeing yourself on TV or something. Like, you're a producer now. You're not just the consumer. You're part of this culture, man. You're making it, so to speak. So what is there a long-term vision for you in Snake Lake? Do you one day want to sell out, or do you want to own this until you expire, or what do you see?
So that goes along with the way I got into this. Sometimes I can't see past my own dashboard. Right. So I'm like pretty day to day, man. Like, I love what we're doing, but here's some like food for thought of where we're going right now is we actually just picked up the building beside us. So another 5,600 square foot building. Nice. And we are building a distillery. So we have still on its way from Poland right now. Our tanks are on the way as well. And we've got our wall package, because you need like a 4-hour bomb room basically around it. That got dropped off today. And yeah, so we should have our distillery up and running mid-January, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
And so
that's huge.
That's kind of our next chapter, is to push into some spirits and keep growing. So like, it's not like anything on the radar that I'd ever want to sell. Like I love the business we've built. I love where we're at. I love getting up every day and going to where I get to go sell a product and be part of something that I built from the ground up. Like that's huge. So yeah, I think it would take a lot to even like change my mind on that a little bit. But I mean, who knows, right? Like everything's changed so much in the last 2 years as it is, but we're still growing as a company, and we're going to be building that distillery and then see from there how much more room we have, and we can build something cool outside. I want to do a big patio and maybe a big outdoor stage and do some cool. Yeah. So we're doing smoke barbecue too. We got a couple smokers. So we do like smoke barbecue every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there's always like,
I gotta come down. What the hell? In June, man, I'll come down. That's crazy.
It's pretty cool combo. Like we do, Rob's our chef, and he's got a couple smokers in there. We've got a big, like, offset wood smoker that you can, like, so it's all stick burner, right? Like we're burning applewood, and we can fit this smoker so big you can fit a steer on it. Like it's huge. Oh my god! So he's doing briskets and pulled pork and all sorts of stuff like that. And then we also have a stand-up pellet smoker, like a tall commercial one. Sure. Then we do all our wings and pig wings and just appies, all that kind of stuff like we do in the pellet smoker. So I mean, beer and barbecue go good together, right? Why would?
God damn, you guys are doing it right. You guys are doing it right. But you must capitalize big time. Is there a lot of tourist traffic out to Sylvan Lake still?
Yeah, in the summer it's super busy, and we get a lot of people coming through from different cities and stuff. But we're kind of like the local hangout. We're not on lakeshore, so we're not down right on the beach in the hustle and bustle of all that chaos. We're kind of we're on the highway as you come in. Still accessible, like easy to find, but we get a lot of the local crowd, like people that don't want that busy, crazy beach vibe that's going on for 2 months here, which is awesome. But like a little hideaway, and we've got a nice patio. We've got I love our tap room. I don't know if you've been to it or seen pictures of it, but we've got like all timber frame interior. Oh, wow. So you sit in these beams, but it's all open to the tanks. So when you're sitting in the tap room, you see all the stainless steel. You can see the guys working in the back, see what's going on. Like it's a really cool vibe. We built it as like, we actually laid it out damn near 4 tours. So if you go there, we do tours obviously of how beer's made, but the transition of how you walk through the brewery is laid out to do that very, very like, there's a word I'm missing here. Easily, there's a better word.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, like it's laid out for tours. Like it's really cool, and like to have people in there is awesome in the tourist season too. But we do get a lot of more local traffic, I think.
Interesting, Adam. I really have to go to the bathroom. That's the one downside of the beer. I want to use the washroom. I want to come back. We'll kind of wrap it up, and we'll meet back in 30 seconds. Is that cool?
Sounds good, man.
Okay, thanks. What does it look like for delivery? Like it all comes from one place, and yet it goes all over the province. How does that work?
Yeah, so there's a distribution company called Connect Logistics, and what it is it's a distribution center through the AGLC in Edmonton. So we send skids to Connect, and then any liquor store, any restaurant can go on to the portal and order whatever product they want, and it shows up. I think there's twice a week they do deliveries. So we stock Connect, and then for any of the outlying, like faraway places, they purchase out of Connect. Okay. And then we also do delivery for like Edmonton. We do a run every Wednesday. Calgary, we do a run every Tuesday. And then Central Alberta, we also service like Thursday, Friday with our own delivery trucks. Okay. But yeah, like Connect's amazing. There's fees attached to it, and there's like a little bit of like logistical organization you have to be good at. Right. But once you've got it dialed in, like it's pretty awesome that someone can click a button on a mouse in Lethbridge and 4 of your flats show up there the same week, right? Like I can't do that. No. So it's pretty cool. Okay. But that's how that works. Yeah, it's just a big distribution warehouse in Edmonton, and they send stuff all over. which is pretty awesome for us, because we need like 10 trucks to be getting that kind of volume out.
No kidding. Wow, that's beautiful. That's funny. I interviewed for a job at Connect Logistics years ago, and I didn't get the job. So, hey, you know what? It was probably for the best. I might not have fit in. Who knows? Warehouse work can be grueling.
Well, yeah, you never know. They've been pretty good to work with, but I mean, there's always stuff you're like, what is going on, or like you can't get a hold of somebody, or
right.
And they've been pretty good to deal with.
Well, that's funny you say that. Like there's always stuff going on. There's always these head scratching moments, but you're building a business with your name on it. You're building your life. It must always feel worth it, right?
Yeah, everything. Like that's the extra time is not a big deal. Like if stuff happens, like whatever, you're always going to put in that extra effort to make sure it's going to happen. And anything you've invested some time into, you're going to see through, which is pretty nice. It's just hard. My biggest flaw is like letting control go. Like I want to know everything. I want to know exactly what's happening. And we've gotten to a point where I can't do that anymore. I got to trust the people working for me and just let it happen. But it drives me crazy when I get like an email or something about something and I have no clue what it's about. And it's like, what are these people even referring to? And the man will be like, oh yeah, no, I got that handled. Don't worry. I'm like, well, what was it? Like, what was this even regarding?
Right.
So it's hard for me to like let that stuff go, but I'm learning. I'm like I say, I'm growing with the business. So
sure.
I don't know. It's just that pride and ownership. You want to see stuff through.
Absolutely. No, that's very interesting. I can't imagine, like, I am an entrepreneur, freelancer, like all my business is my business. I couldn't imagine all of a sudden someone else was doing something. It's like, what? You did what? Yeah. With my name on it, essentially? Like, that's cool. I mean, it's good. I mean, that's what it would take to grow, right?
Yeah, and we're at that point where you just need to trust people, otherwise you're going to just make yourself crazy.
Right. So when it comes to hiring the staff, are you in on that process of meeting the people, or is that even something that you've moved beyond?
No, I'm definitely part of that. Like, we're still very involved. It depends on what area. Like, if it's in the brewing, anything to do with the brewing, like team, yes, I'm part of it. If it's anything to do with like our bartenders and stuff, I generally let the bar manager and Bill will probably sit in on that. Anything in the sales team, I'm obviously 100% involved with.
Nice.
And then our admin staff, I'm involved with that. But like, we go through quite a few bartenders, and really my opinion on that doesn't really matter because they're not going to work for me directly anyways. So I kind of trust the bar manager and Bill to take care of that. And then with the brewing, even with the brewing team, if it's not like a head brewer or assistant brewer, that's why we have a head brewer, right? Like, he's going to work with who he wants to work with. So he's more important to have that meeting or that hiring than I am.
Right.
Like, what does it matter to me if they're like, can do certain skill, if that's not a skill set we need to add to the team. Like, I don't know. I'm not in there every day. So I trust a little bit of it away. And if it's like a really like higher up important position that we're filling that's going to affect my world, then I'm definitely part of it.
Interesting. No, that's very cool, man. I guess just to wrap it up, we'll say thanks to Allie Stone for making this connection. And Original Joe's, man, you get two sides with your burger. We love that.
Yep. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
And you got that. Do you see their new menu change? They got that spicy, crispy chicken burger on there now.
Oh man, I'm gonna go right now. What?
And hummus, man. They got hummus on there.
Oh no.
It's like pretzel, like warm pretzel dip. Oh man, deadly.
God damn. Well,
yeah. Same thing that you're just saying. Thank you, Allie. This is really cool. Yes. I'm glad we got to be part of this. Thank you for introducing us.
Yes, Allie, she's connected me to so many great people, and here's one more. So maybe just say a few words about what your relationship with Original Joe's has been like, and they're a different. They do restaurant a little different.
Yeah, we have a very, very big partnership with Original Joe's. We're actually on tap at every Original Joe's in Alberta with the Sidewinder IPA. So every single store that you walk into, doesn't matter what city, the Sidewinder will be on tap there.
Beautiful.
And that's like something that started from basically in Red Deer. We started working with the Franworks crew here at State Main and Original Joe's. And then it grew from there. And I actually I got to tag along to one of their AGMs to Mexico.
Oh no!
So I went to this annual general meeting in Mexico with the whole crew.
Uh-oh.
And man, that's some memories down there that like it's just stuff you get to do that you wouldn't normally do on a day-to-day basis with these people, and it just like solidifies that bond of like we're not just a customer supplier relationship, customer vendor. Like everybody in the industry, every store they stop at, like you know them. They're like friends. It's such a cool company to get to drop by and see these people because they're all cool people. Like everyone's like, all right, they're having fun. They've got a good like business ethic. Like everybody's like, it's a cool business to be associated with, and I'm pretty thankful for what they do for us on a day-to-day basis, because honestly we wouldn't be who we are without their help in the industry. It's far beyond what we ever imagined. So wow. Yeah, very, very cool to be part of that with them.
Big shouts out to Original Joe's, because you're right, that's kind of their brand is helping the little guy a lot of the time, is they try and do better for the community, I suppose, that they're a part of. Yeah, and it is like they're always doing cool stuff like that. Opened a new one down in Kensington with a whole new like floor plan or like their like interior models completely different. Man, it's like sweet to see the way that company itself is evolving and what they're changing and kind of progressing into the future with. And I'm glad to be part of the ride. Right on. And I tell you what, you go get a burger, you get fries and a salad, and you get the Sidewinder. You're absolutely, there's nothing better in life. Kona burger, man. Kona burger. There you go. Does that have a pineapple on it? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love every second of it. Oh, baby. Yes. Okay, Adam, I want you to stay on the line just so I can get some information from you, but we'll wrap it up. I'll say thank you for sharing all this information. Beer is life, man. I love this stuff. It's glad to talk to someone who's a beer man. And I guess I would just say, if people want to drink your beer, like, what's the best way? Like, how can I find out where to get this stuff? Cold. Just shut the hell up and make it simple. Drink it cold. Okay. No, you can get it like I say, it's all over the place. If you want it on draft, check out it. Go drop in Original Joe's. We've got as far as retail goes, like any of the like Edmonton area, if you want to go with that, like Sherbrooke Liquor, Sherbrooke East, Little Guy Liquor, Beer Shack, Spirit Zone 101, all the Wine and Beyonds, Sobeys, Safeway, all those liquor stores. We've got and I mean, if you go into a liquor store, actually, let me put it this way. If you go to a liquor store and we're not on the shelf and you want to try our beer, ask them to bring it in, because they can just go on Connect, bring it in, and that helps us out so much, because you just got us a shelf space on a liquor store, like liquor store shelf, and it moves our product for us, and you get to try it. So it's even better if you go into your local store that doesn't have it and ask them to bring it in, and that's what we do every day for sales. So you're helping us grow as a business, and you get to try our product. That's a great idea. That's genius marketing. Don't go looking for it. Go wherever you want and tell them to give it to you. Go ask for it. Yeah. Ask for it. Beautiful. Okay, Snake Lake. Get the Sidewinder. Crush 6 of them on a Wednesday and make bad choices. Boom. Love it. Adam Nachbaur, thank you, brother. This was a great chat. I mean, I love your beer. It was great to meet you. Right back at you, man. This is definitely the most beer I've had on an episode. I have that effect on people. Thank you for listening to the North Bank Media Podcast. If you enjoy this conversation, please subscribe on YouTube and give us a like. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe as well and leave a 5-star review.